Good afternoon. Welcome to Vendor Contracts, Modifications, and Payment Applications for DGS. If someone will do me a favor and send me a chat message or just put it in the question box that you can hear me okay and that you can see my screen okay. Wonderful. Okay, again, today we're going to cover contracts, modifications, and payment applications. I'm Susan Mills, and I work in the Professional Services Department for Project Team in Education and Implementation. And as I said, today I'm going to show you how to find your contract, review your modifications, create a potential change order, create a contingency draw request, review basic change directives, and also submit a payment application. If at any time during this, training, if you've got a question, you guys have been great. We've got a really great team that have been attending training, so they're used to, submitting a question to me. I'll glance over at the other monitor. May not get to it really fast, but I'll try my best, and I'll glance over there and I'll answer as quickly as I can. If I don't get to it during the session, I'll make sure to answer it at the end of the session. So for user accounts and project access request, if you need a project team user account or you need access to a project, if you're a DGS employee, you want to send an email to dgs.projectteam@dc.gov. Okay. DGS vendors, please reach out to your DGS project manager. They'll make sure that they tell you how to get your user account is going to be done, and also they'll make sure when their project is ready, they will invite you to the project and you'll receive an invitation. And we'll talk about that in a second. Once you have access to the system, once you've gotten in, you've logged in, you're starting to work in your project, if you need support, reach out to we've got an awesome support team who is ready and willing to jump on any questions you've got and get an answer to you right away. That email is support@projectteam.com. If you're a vendor and you want to use Project Team on other projects outside of DGS, send an email to our sales team at sales@projectteam.com and they'll be happy to work with you. If you want to also, we've got help pages within the system. When you're in My Page, if you'll just click the drop-down arrow, you'll be able to click View Help Pages. And you can also email support, and we love feedback. So if you click that Provide Feedback and let us know what you think, it really helps us out when we're, adding new features, or if there's something you think you want, we should add to make it easier. Love hearing from you guys. And also press that logout button. So everybody, I believe, if you have not received an invitation, I'm going to quickly go through this and then we'll get started. Don't forget the process. If you're a DGS vendor, talk to your DGS PM and as the projects are uploaded and added, they will be inviting you. When you've been invited, you're going to receive an email like this that will have the project team logo on it, and it'll say a new account has been created and you've been set up as a new user. It's important to note you have 24 hours to finish creating your account before it expires. This is purely a security reason to make sure that your account information is safe. I'm going to show you how, if you did not do it within 24 hours, I'm going to show you how to fix that. But if you do receive the invitation and you get excited and want to go ahead and set up your account, go ahead and click Finish Your Account. It is going to open a Finish Creating Your Account screen. You'll put in your first name and your last name, and you'll also put in your new password. Your email address is your username. So your email address has to be your company name, or, in some cases, we've got vendors that are working for DGS that have a dc.gov email address. Use the one that you received the invitation from. Whatever email box you received it in, make sure to use that one. You're going to want to put in a password. The password needs to at least have one letter, one capital letter, and one character, and it needs to be 8 characters long. So as long as you're following these rules, you should be able to create a password. If you want to make sure you're inputting your password correctly, click the Show Password button, and it will show you what you're typing. Now, let's say that you did not respond to that email in time and you clicked it and it said that, you've got an invalid token, or if you lost your password, can't remember what it is, happens to me a lot. What you'll do is you're going to log into projectteam.com and click that login button. We're going to go through these steps in a second and I'll show you again. And click the forgot your password link right up underneath the login screen, and it will send you a brand new invitation so you can, put you put forgot your password. You're going to enter your email address in the next screen and then click the button. It'll send you an email. You'll click that link, come in, create your new password, and boom, you're in the system. So we make it super simple if you've lost any of that information. That way it doesn't slow you down and you're not waiting on a bunch of us to send you information. So it's training time. I'm going to go ahead and open Project Team. So let's say I've, set up my account and I come back and I want to log into Project Team. Well, in the URL, I put in projectteam.com and it brings me to the Project Team homepage. Gives me a lot of great information about Project Team, but I'm ready to get in the system and start working. So I'm going to click Login. And it will bring me to the Project Team login screen. What I do, I don't like to have a million mouse clicks and have to go to more pages than I need to, so I just drag and drop the login link to my address bar, or I go ahead and create a shortcut on my desktop, or I go ahead and click this, in Chrome, I can click the star and I can create a bookmark. Project Team is browser agnostic, meaning I can use any browser I want. I typically prefer Chrome, Firefox, or Safari. I don't, it does work in Internet Explorer, but I feel like that's older technology and I don't get as much, I just don't feel as comfortable with it. So I use Chrome. You're going to enter your email address and the password you created during account creation. So, make sure you have that information. Once you enter it, depending on if you have your cookie set up within your browser, it's going to remember it each time you log in. I don't think I've had to enter it in a long time. I'll click Login, and it's going to open up my page, okay? So this gives me recent activity for every document. We covered this during introduction and navigation, so I'm not going to go over a whole lot of it right now, but I just want to give you just some pointers to make sure that you're really successful. Okay, these are the action items and workflows. We're going to talk about action items and workflows as we're going through this today, but you really want to keep an eye on these things. You're going to receive emails and, you've got options to be able to quickly see if anything's assigned to you either via my page or the drop downs here. If you want to see I've got one item overdue. This is a please upload task information. It's assigned to a task closeout. I can click the subject to open the action item, or I can click the document and open the document. This tells me I need to upload the task information. I take care of whatever they're asking me to do. I click that action item and I mark it as complete. Okay. If I go back to my page, anytime I want to go to my page, I just click my name and I go to my page. Super simple, works really great. I can also open my project by clicking on a link here because it shows me everything that's happened on my projects, or I can open my project by clicking the drop down, searching for my project, or clicking the project title in my quick list. One thing I want to show you that's really important before I move into how to review your contracts and mods is how to set up notifications. Now you want to click this 3 ellipses or more button and click the update email notifications. Scroll down and find the project that you want to set it up for. These are project specific, so you have to set it up for each project you've been invited to. Go ahead and click the title of the project and click the edit button. By default, action items and workflows are automatically checked. That means you're going to get an email notification anytime somebody assigns an action item or to-do item to you, and you'll also get an an email anytime somebody assigns a workflow to you. Now, typically when you come into your project, new shares, field changes, and comments made are not checked. DGS wants every user to check new shares and also comments made. New shares are going to notify you every time somebody shares a document with you. That way you know you have access. Comments made allows you to be collaborative on the document, meaning you can make comments and have a discussion on the actual document itself. So it's really great. Instead of sending emails around about the document, you can actually hold that discussion on the document, and it becomes a matter of, permanent record on the document. So make sure, DGS has specifically asked that I tell everybody, make sure you also check new shares and comments made, and then click Save. You'll scroll down to the bottom and click Close. You want to edit your profile. Make sure you edit your profile because it really helps everybody to know how to get in touch with you. Put in your job title, just don't change your email address. Your email address is your unique user login. And if you change that email address, you won't be able to get in the system. If it needs to be changed for any reason, like you switch companies, then that's going to have to go through support and also DGS for us to make that change. Make sure you add a photo. That way people know who they're talking to or who they're working with on a document. And if you want to upload your signature, not really too sure DGS is really using signatures yet on merge templates, but they might. And this is where your signature, you can add, your signature could be added as a logged in user to a document. I'm going to go ahead and click Save. Now let's go into the projects because I know you guys are dying to find out where you can see your contracts and change orders. So is everybody okay with the intro I just did? Anybody have any questions before I move forward? Okay. I'm going to go in and I'm going to find my project. Now I can search for it by entering the name here. I also have a quick list. Now this quick list by default it's going to add, every time you're added to a project, it will add projects here, which is great. It puts them, it's very fast, quickly get into your projects. But eventually you're going to have projects close out, or you may no longer be on that project. You may be the beginning project manager and then you move to another project and somebody else takes over. So you don't want to see those projects on your list. They're still available via the All Projects area, but you don't want them on your quick list. So you click the three ellipses button and click Configure Menu. And then just check and uncheck the projects that you want to have access to. Okay? And click Save. And now when you go to your quick list, it's a lot shorter, or it may have more projects on it depending on what you need. You can also, if you don't want to do that, you can search and it'll go through your full project list. So I'm going to go ahead and select CPO training, and it opens up my project for me. These are the favorite form types. If you want to go ahead and add items here, I'm going to go ahead and add basic directives because we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about change orders. We're not going to talk about client input. We need to talk about contract exhibits or cost proposals. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save. When I save, it changes the grid and shows only the forms that I want to get quick access to. Doesn't mean that I don't have access to the ones I took off. I always have access by clicking Forms, and I can scroll down here to the bottom if I want and look at every form that's available in the system. Or I can just scroll up to the top and I can start typing in the system. Once I find the item I want, I just simply click on it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Contracts and take us in the contract page. Now, this is the contract log. You will only see the contracts that have been shared with you. Other vendors will not see your contract. The system is extremely secure, meaning I do not see a document. If I don't have access to the document, it's like it doesn't exist. So if you do not see your contract here, you need to reach out to your PM, because you're going to have access to your contract to create a potential change order and also to submit a payment application. So when you log into your project, give your PMs just a few minutes to get acclimated and get it in, but the PMs will enter the approved contract that they receive from contracts and procurements. It will go in the system. So to review your contract, you're going to come in and you'll click the title of the contract. You won't have editing rights. You'll only be able to review it, and you'll see that it's been approved at the top, because the only contracts that go in the system have been vetted, completed through contracts and procurements. You'll want to scroll down. You can see all the information for the contract here. It shows your schedule of values. And if you come down to the bottom, it shows you the original contract amount, any approved change orders, the revised contract amount, and any approved change order days. You can also see the CBE participation, retainage information, and your dates. Okay. If you go to drawings, you can see any drawings that are attached, for this particular contract. It's the same for specifications. Inclusions, exclusions, and alternates will be listed on this tab. Other exhibits will be listed here, and then approved change orders will show up under the change order tab. All supporting documentation, signed, approved contracts will appear here on the bottom. Okay. There may be reference links that you can see here. They'll have some reference links. DGS will have reference links only they can see that their teams only have access to. But any of the reference links that you have access to, and reference links are links to other documents within the project, they'll show up here. The comments that I was talking about are right here. So if you had a comment, if you felt like one of the schedule of values was not showing up correctly, you could put a comment in here. And then you post it. And whoever is on this document is going to receive a notification. They can come in here and review and do what they need to do. If it's approved, they'll have to create a change order to correct it. But, you'll have the ability to come in here and make comments. You can also see all the activity on any document. And this tells me from the very beginning what's happened, when I edited it, who I shared it with, etc., when I added reference links. Action items for documents are also included. Now, these fields are included on every document within Project Team. There is a shared with that shows me everybody that it's been shared with. I can hover over each person's picture, and then I can look and see if they've ever viewed the document. I can also click View All. In this case, this has been shared with a ton of share groups, so I can see who's viewed it, etc. Action items, if I created an action item for this one, I need somebody to do something. I'm not just simply commenting, but I need somebody to do something. Assign this to John Bunch. I can assign an action item to myself. And I'm kind of, I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I don't want to have to go in search of John's to see if John's done it. I know he's been busy. I can look at it, and that way I just kind of stay on top of things. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. I'll also show you how you can see it. And I'm going to put a due date, and I can save and share it with the project team, or I can just save and share it with John and I. It's going to show up here. And it's also going to show up here, upload the final approved contract. Now I can use my back browser buttons and forward browser buttons to move back and forth. So I'm going to go back to the contract. So I can see that we've got this, John and I can both see that he's got an action item. When John gets done, he'll just click the action item and click Mark Complete. If I go back to the contract, it's no longer there, but I can always click the checkbox to see if that action item has been taken care of. So that is pretty much how you're going to review your contracts. You'll always know, your contract is in the system and that documentation is attached. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you where to find your change orders, but then I'm going to show you how you get a change order. So I'm going to go into change orders. And you'll see the change order log. As with the contracts, you're only going to see your change orders. No other contractor is going to see your change orders. They are simply shared with you and DGS and probably the construction manager on your project. But, it depends on how your project is run, but no other contractor is going to see your change orders. Now, how does a change order become a change order, right? Let's talk about that for a minute, because this is a new item that DGS is doing. Now, you guys still have to go through your process of submitting it through procurement and the whole thing that you guys are used to, the vendor portal, you still have to go and do these things. But this stuff that you have to do has to be entered into Project Team before you can go and submit it into the different portals, like for your payment application. So in order for a change order to become an approved change order now, you have to go in and create what we call a potential change order. Okay. So I'm going to search for potential change order. I'll click the form and open it up. A potential change order may only be created against an executed contract, and DGS will only initiate a change order if a potential change order has been entered in Project Team. Potential change orders should be created at any time there is a potential for a change to time, cost, or scope on the contract. This document is created by the vendor and submitted to the DGS project manager for review and acceptance. So you're going to log in, you're going to go ahead and find your potential change order log, and you'll click the new button in the top. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and assign it to a contract. You have to, and this is the reason I was telling you guys earlier. If your contract is not in the system or you don't have access to it, you need to reach out to your DGS PM and tell them, I cannot create a potential change order because my contract is not there. Can you please enter, or can you please share it with me? You're going to select your contract, and you won't see everybody else's because you won't have access. You're just going to choose the contract that you're applying the potential change order to and click Choose Contract. It will open up the potential change order. Now, what we're going to do is you've got two tabs. You've got General and you've got Inclusions and Exclusions and Alternates. We're going to start with General. You need to put in a PCO number. Now, there is a proper numbering nomenclature that they want you to use, and this will be the name of your company and the number of the consecutive number for the PCO. So I've already submitted one, so this will be Project Team-002. And I want to enter a title, and it must include a short description of the potential change. Okay. I want to put in a PCO date. Now, the PCO date should be the date that of the creation of the PCO. If the PCO is not being immediately submitted, wait and enter the actual submission date. And you want to enter a description for the PCO. Okay. You'll want to enter a scope of work. Now, you'll notice you've got all kinds of formattings. This is what we call a rich text field, so you can format this if you want. You'll enter the scope of work, and you're going to go ahead and select the potential change reason, right? So scroll down here and look and pick the applicable reason. Justification is really, really important because you want to make sure that you include why the additional work was not included in the original scope, right? So you want to make sure that you put this in. Make sure it's detailed. Make sure that your name is selected in the from business. And you want to enter the proposed schedule impact days if they are required. So if this is going to impact it by 30 days, put 30 days in here. And you want to enter the requested revised substantial completion date. So if you're asking for 30 days, you want to make sure that you show what your new revised substantial completion is. And this date is only needed to be entered if the original substantial date needs to be revised to complete the change. Enter the requested revised financial completion date here. Make sure that you enter a location. And go ahead and click Add Existing and link any particular drawings that apply to this potential change order. Same thing for your specifications. Click Add Existing. You can add multiples. These become hyperlinks, and you can open those documents. If there is a directive that has been assigned to you, you can go ahead and link the directive to this potential change order. Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add the cost breakdown, but I need to share the information that DGS has shared with me. In the cost breakdown, you're going to go ahead and click Create New. Except for any extreme or extenuating circumstances, and this has to be approved by the DGS PM, only create one line item, totaling the entire cost. They only want one line item unless it's extreme or extenuating circumstances approved, right? And you're going to put in your proposed cost and click Add. DGS is going to use this field only, right? So you will only put in the work description and the vendor cost. So the next thing we'll do, all the rest of the fields are for DGS. They will come in here and they will update these, and you'll be notified, you know, with the change order. You'll be notified if this is approved. So you'll come up to the top, a lot of scrolling here, click Inclusions, Exclusions, and Alternates, and you'll click Create New for any of these items and enter a description. Each one of these works exactly the same. And you'll click Add to save the to add the information. To complete your potential change order, you're going to go ahead and click the drop down and click Save, because we're not quite ready to go ahead and share it with anybody yet, because we need to go ahead and attach supporting documentation, because DGS is going to have this document. So it's not visible to anybody until it's shared, and it's not going to be submitted to DGS until the workflow is initiated. So we're going to go ahead and scroll down here. Remember the attachments part we talked about? You're going to upload the contract documents and include at least a minimum of the copy of the cost proposal with the cost breakdown backup. So make sure that you upload this, because it'll halt it, right? It's not going to go anywhere if it's not, you know, if there's no attachments. They're going to bump it back to you. So after you've gotten this done, you'll come to the workflow section and you'll start new. And you must initiate the PCO workflow in order to submit the PCO to DGS for review and determination of the entitlement. Failure to initiate the PCO workflow upon completion of the PCO creation is going to result in days in PCO processing. PCOs created but not submitted are not considered valid POs. So make sure that you do the workflow, select the PCO workflow which you're submitting, and start the workflow. Okay? What's going to happen is the PM is going to receive this. So make sure that everything is updated. Here, you've got your attachments and you've done the workflow. Because I'm a PM, I get this information here, and I teach the PMs how to go in and, you know, how to take action and work on their workflow. So let's say that they come back and they submit a comment to you, or they send an action item and say, hey, you didn't attach any of your supporting documentation. Be on the lookout. They'll come back in, and you're going to open up your potential change log. You'll click on that PCO and do whatever it is they need you to do for them to create the change order. So, if they need you to attach, go ahead and do your attachments. Let them know via an action item or in comments this is taken care of. The difference between the two is comments are a conversation, right? They can read them and they can respond back. Action items, if you need to let them know, hey, I've completed adding the documentation, please review. You can assign that to them so they know, and they have to finish it up. The PMs are going to come in and they're going to create a change order from this document. So I'm going to go ahead and create one just so that way we'll have a change order to bring into our payment application. Okay, so we've got that. I'm going to go ahead and let's look at the change detail. And I'm going to just go ahead and save this. Okay. All right. So we've got change orders. You see I brought in that additional work for the lobby. And you can find your change orders. We talked about those just a few minutes ago, right? So potential change orders, really important. Got to submit those. PM will do his work. Once he gets it done, he's going to come in here. He'll go through all the steps to create the change order. He'll attach the supporting documentation. It will be in the system. We're going to talk about basic change directives, and then I'm going to go ahead and teach you guys how to come in and do a payment application. I always save the best for last, right? So a basic change directive is used to capture basic changes issued by contracts and procurement. So this form is created by the project manager or the assistant PM and is a DGS internal form, but is viewed by vendors and project staff. It is initiated and performed outside a project team and is managed through the procurement system. This information will be captured in project team after it's complete. So if you receive a notification, that this has been shared with you, you'll just click on the notification on the link. You can come in, click the link and open it up and review it. And this will show you this one's attached to a PCO. It gives us subject information and the NTE amount and any additional comments. There may be attachments here you can review. You can make your comments here or assign action items. So that was just pretty much a review. So let's go in and let's create a payment application. So it's time for you guys to do your payment applications. You want to get paid, so you got to do your payment applications through the system. So let me talk to you about the expectations. An email notification when you workflow the document will go straight to the PM. It's set up for the workflow notification. That's a really good question, Edwina. So when the document is workflowed, the PM will be notified. They'll receive a notification, and also their workflow will appear here, right? As you can see, I've got a potential change order notification because I was, I'm a PM in the PM role on this particular training project, so I can show you guys this. This is the potential change order notification that was sent to the PM. So if I click that up here at the top, it tells me what I need to do here. So they're going to review everything, make sure everything's there. They'll take the additional steps, fill in the fields that they need to do, and then they'll take action, and they'll pass or cancel. Okay, so I'm going to go back into payment applications. And what you're going to do is you're going to click the new button. You're going to choose your contract. And as you can see, this is payment application number 2. So payment application number 2, it's going to automatically number them for me. So you don't want to change these numbers because you don't want to throw it out of sequence. You're going to put in a title. Okay, and the title should include your company name and an identifier related to the payment application. And what this means is, let's say that this is Smith Construction or Smith Design, I believe is what I have it on there. And this will be payment application number 2. Okay, it automatically links it to the PO. But I want to go ahead and put in my contract information, so I'm going to go ahead and select this again because it does pull in some information that I can see here. PO number, task number, contract, etc. Even though it's linked here, they still want you guys to be able to see this, so if you need to click and go back to the award, you can. Okay, you're going to want to make sure that you select the date of the payment application is automatically going to populate with the current date. So if, let's say that you're working on this on a Sunday and it really should be on the 1st of May, you can change that date. You want to select the cost period. These will be in that you can choose. Cost periods are required. You can't move forward unless you put that in. Select your billing date. So let's say that this was April 1st. You can click here to change the date really easily and then click the date and then April 30th. You will not put any more of this information in from here, right? Because you're going to come back and do that after your payment application is approved. Okay, so I want to scroll down here and show you something. So all this information here, the pencil copy, from pencil copy status on down is PM work, PM and the financial group work. If you go to financial summary, it's going to give you some information if you've got an original contract amount, approved change orders only. So if I don't have an approved change order, it's not going to show up here. If I'm expecting to see an approved change order, I need to talk to my PM. Because if I've submitted that PCO and it's gone through the procurement and contracts process and it's been approved and it's been put in the system, if I'm not seeing it there, it's probably because it was not, the final step to approve it was not taken. But this gives you a nice financial breakdown on everything on your contract. Item breakdown is really important. This is where you're going to come in here and you're going to put in, it shows you your schedule of values that came from your contract. What I like to do is the first thing when I do my very first one, I click the ellipsis button. I set the retainage for all rows. So I know that it's going to be 10% when I first start out. This can be changed as you work through the project. If the project at a certain point goes to 5%, you can change it to, you can manipulate it from within the line. So let's say one of my items is going down to 5% because I'm almost finished. I can go ahead and change it here. So let's say I've got a change order. I don't want to enter anything until I put my change orders on there. So I go ahead and save. I go back to my item breakdown and I click edit. And now I have a button to add change order. So if I click add change order, and I want to add that in there. Now, let's say it had a dollar amount. I would go in and do the same things on each line item that I'm going to show you on line item 1. So this is my second pay app. I've already completed $25,000, so I've completed 50% of the work. So let's say that I've actually completed $50,000, which is the whole thing. It will automatically calculate the percentage. Or I can go in here and say I've completed 100%, and it'll calculate. And it tells me the work completed for this period, total work completed, and the work completed from previous pay apps. And I can do this on my change orders as well. So next I'm going to go ahead and save. And I want to scroll down and make sure that I attach all the supporting documentation. That's really, really important because you should support any supporting documentation required to facilitate the pencil copy. And again, this is the pencil copy. Nothing is going in the DGS vendor portal until this is all approved. You receive notification, you've completed the final step, then you're going to print off everything and submit it into the vendor portal. Vendors should attach any supporting documentation required to facilitate the pencil copy, invoice review, and approval. You may want to discuss the requirements with your DGS PM to obtain a list of required supporting documentation. And the list of documents to support your pencil copy invoice may differ from the required supporting documentation required for your invoice submission to the DC vendor portal. Guys, I can't say enough how important it is to download the QRGs, and I'll show you where to get those in just a second. Because every bit of the things I'm telling you right now, I'm reading from this because there's a lot of stuff that you have to consume here. So make sure that you go ahead and upload the information, okay? Very, very, very important. So once you've uploaded everything, you're going to come right up here to the workflow, and you're going to submit this pencil copy and start the workflow, okay? And if you want to see where the workflow goes, you can click the little caret, arrow, and this shows you that it was started by me. It's a pencil copy review, and it's going to my PM, okay? So the PM is going to come in, And let me read this one thing to you on the introductions for the payment application, just so everybody's really clear on what's required. The vendor invoice to DGS is submitted in the DC vendor portal per district requirements. DGS utilizes the payment application form in project team to capture the initial or pencil copy submission of the payment application prior to the vendor submitting their invoice in the DC vendor portal. So everything has to go in here. You are required to submit your pay application for review and approval before submitting your invoice to, the portal. And the approved payment application in project team will serve as the basis for the vendor invoice package uploaded. So again, payment applications require a valid contract in project team, and your contract should be entered in project team by your DGS project manager when it's awarded. If you don't see it, reach out to your DGS PM. The instructions that I'm giving you also applies to awarded change orders. So let's say that your PM comes in, they review everything, they're going to take action, they're going to do what they need to do, and they'll do their workflow. They're going to edit the fields that are applicable to them, okay? So there'll be fields that they're doing, like the pencil status, who approved it. The financial manager group, they're also going to be doing invoice tracking information. If there are any review comments, they'll be here. You could receive notification, hey, I think line item number 3 is a little high. I believe that this is probably only complete at 40% instead of 50%. So make sure you're watching those items, and you can come in and you can edit the document to make it, to work with them on whatever, you need to go ahead and put in there. So they'll come in, the PM is going to come in here, and once everything is done and he approves everything, then he's going to send you a notice. He'll assign an action item to you, and it will be for you to go ahead and, upload everything, and then you're going to go ahead and submit your application to, the DC portal, right? So let me show you a couple of things. First off, when you receive that notice, the very first thing that you're going to do is you will click Edit. Before you close out your action item, you'll put in your invoice submitted date, and you're going to go ahead and put in your invoice number, and you'll save it. You're going to upload any additional documentation that you need to upload. Then you're going to go up to the print button up here, and you're going to say Merge to Template. And you'll go ahead and select the DGS payment request application, leave it in PDF, and click Merge. If there are any supporting documents, you're going to go ahead and select all of those in the next step, right? And let me show you how that looks, so that way everybody knows what you're supposed to do here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to upload a file. Okay, I have a file here. Now when I go in and I print and I merge to template, I'll select the DGS payment request application. I'll click Next. It's going to ask me, you have, attachments. Do you want to attach them? Yes, I'm going to go ahead and select my attachments, and I'll click Merge. And you're going to want to save and download, so that way you can download the attached invoice submission to include in your invoice packet. You'll complete that invoice packet and submit the invoice to the DC portal, but only after you've received that action item from your PM, okay? As you can see, this gives you the entire invoice information. You're going to click Save and download it to your desktop. When you have an action item, again, like I showed you guys earlier, I'm going to go ahead and open one up so you can see it. You're going to click the Mark Complete. You can even put Download of Items as Complete, and click Mark Complete, okay? That lets them know that everything that you've done on the payment application is finished. Okay, does anybody have any questions on payment applications? I know I went through a lot, but I wanted you, you got to understand your steps. You will be dependent upon, your PM going in there and reviewing everything, submitting that action item step to you. If he hasn't done that, put a comment in the, in your payment application. Hey, are we, is there anything else you need for me to go ahead and get this payment application approved so I can submit it to the vendor portal? Okay. Anybody have any questions regarding the payment applications? Because I'm going to go ahead and talk about a few next steps and where you can get all this information that I talked to you about today. All right. We have a website, www.projectteam.com/DGS. We talked about that earlier. You've got the QRGs. Everything that I've shared with you today is on these QRGs, and there's a lot of information: general use, vendor use, emails, meeting minutes, all that stuff. Creating and submitting that change order, creating and submitting a payment application, how to find your contracts, etc. If you go to your training videos, right now we've got our general use. We are uploading the recordings from each of our sessions, so you guys will have those to review. And you can also sign up for additional training by viewing the calendar page. It will tell you the intended audience and any specific class notes that are really important. You just click the Register Now button, and it'll take you right into class registration. Okay. If you want, you can sign up on our social pages. We share a lot of information, new features coming out, any open webinars, that if you and your company want to attend, we welcome you. And that's pretty much it for right now. I hope I've answered everybody's questions. If, we're looking forward to working with you guys, and welcome to the Project Team family. If nobody has any questions, I'm going to close out for today. Thank you, and have a great afternoon.